link in the chat.
Okay, this is the July.
July. You ready for summer?
Oh my goodness, I am so ready for summer. I'm so hoping that by summer we all have our vaccines and can go crazy. All right, this is the January 12th, 2021 General Community Meeting for Ortelius. The
Um, Sorry, one thing. It's 2021, Tracy.
Did I say 2020?
You have written 2020.
All right. The link to the docs is in the chat if you can go ahead and sign up so we can keep track of where we're at. So I'm going to just do a quick summary of sort of our goals for this first quarter in an effort to make sure. Hey, Sasha.
Hi guys, sorry about that.
So I think moving forward, this general community meeting is a good place for both the architecture group and the outreach group to at least make a connection and share information between the groups. So instead of just going over a kind of an agenda of what we have, everything that we need to talk about, considering we only have the 30 minutes, I think that's a better strategy. So I'm just going to go over what we have sort of on both sides, what we have talked about. Everybody knows that I'm into having measurable goals. And we talked at the end of last year, we talked a little bit about some of the goals that we have, and we actually put together a Excel spreadsheet that had goals for technical updates on the product and where the open source roadmap needs to go, which thank you very much for everybody for noting that. I will review it with the technical oversight committee. I have a meeting scheduled with them sometime in February. But in terms of common goals between the architecture and between the outreach, the goal that I really would like us all to focus on is the goal of adoption in two places. Number one, adoption for an easy on-ramp for new open source contributors. There was some work done on that. Siddharth started a developer guide, now what we're calling a contributor guide. That was Steve and Siddharth and myself, we worked on that, and that has been published. If you go out now to the Ortelius documentation, you will see that there's two docs. There's a user guide and a contributor guide. So all of us need to look at that contributor guide and see if there's other things that we need to add to that contributor guide to make it easy for new people in the open source community to get started. You know, where the where GitHub is, how to do a pull request, where the community docs are. If there's anything that we've missed, if we could all take a look at that, I would very much appreciate it. We have the unique, and maybe we're not unique, but we have a lot of people on this in this group that have never been in an open source community before. So those of us who have your input to make it easy for new people to create their full pull request, their first pull request. I would love to have everybody have had the experience of creating their first pull request and understand what that feels like. The second adoption goal is for literally for new users of Ortelius, and our goal overall is to make this to simplify microservices. And so, as I've said before, let's make sure we simplify microservices, but don't make it hard to use the solution. So we need to have videos and blogs and on tips and tricks in using the product, or we need feedback that says this sucks. And if it sucks, we need to know, and we need to understand it and get some issues opened out there so we can start addressing it. So for the next month, we really are going to work on those two areas, making it easy for new people to contribute and making it easy for new people to become users. We are going to be having a blogathon starting February. Siddharth is working on sorting out a reward system through electronic badges. Garima is working on a reward schedule, and she's going to present that to the group when she gets it finished. I'm hoping that that's soon. So we're working on ways to create a reward system for work well done. I would love to send out t-shirts and we might do that, but unfortunately, getting Karam and Sasha t-shirts look like another $100. So it's really hard. I'm hoping that once we have t-shirts via the CDF, that maybe we can get the CDF to send the swag on our behalf. So that's what I'm waiting on that for. The blogathon will include blogs that are, I think I put a requirement of at least 500 words or a video with 300 words that describes the video. And we'll just get that blogathon started on February 1st and do it for 30 days and see how much content we can create around those two particular topics. How do you become a contributor at Ortelius, and how do you become a user at Ortelius? And on that, I will open it up for discussion. Thoughts on how we can do this better?
Sorry, I'm just typing away here. So on the blogathon, have we figured out how we're going to submit blog posts? Are we going to just do it off of a pull request and like the outreach?
Yes, what we'll
repo?
do, I will put directions on how to submit your blogs. What we'll do is ask that the blogs be submitted on Google Docs and a link to the Google Doc be added to the pull request.
Okay. The other way we could do is just a markdown file in one of the repos. Either way.
I think this way is easiest because when I go to bring it into the blogs on the website, I won't want to have it in markdown format.
Yeah, that's true. Okay.
So we'll just create a Google Doc. And if anybody wants to do a video and they need, I think that we need to come up with, I don't know if there's any kind of open source tooling that we can use to edit the videos or how it would be easy to do a video, but maybe that's one of our challenges is to make sure everybody knows how they could actually create a video.
Yeah. So on the video front, I know on the Mac OS, I use HIT Films, and that allows me to edit the video, basically edit the MP4. And then there's another one called MonoSnap that'll allow you to record as well. Or you can use Zoom to record and then edit it off
Put that in
of
those notes there, Steve, so we have that captured.
I'm not sure on Windows what is available. I think it's called HIT Films.
Does anybody have any ideas of low cost or free tools for creating videos?
So like on Windows, I use DaVinci Resolve.
What's it called?
DaVinci Resolve.
Okay.
In Windows, you use actually mostly for video editing that OBS Studio and Filmora.
Oh, OBS will work.
Yeah.
Okay.
But for
Actually,
Filmora, like,
I was also making some videos. Video editor, I was also making YouTube videos. So
the problem with Filmora is that a free version like adds a watermark, and we don't want that.
Oh, right.
no, actually, I have the full version of without watermark.
So what you're expecting, Tracy, is in these videos, what should be, what the people would be recording?
I don't want to be, I don't want to damper anybody's creative juices, but I think the goal is useful content around those two topics. So useful content for somebody who's never contributed to an open source project before. I know I have posted links to areas that like the Jenkins community has created. But if there's things that are specific to contributing to Ortelius that they should know about, then it would be great to have tips for contributing to Ortelius. Even some simple stuff like, here's how you create your first pull request by adding your name to the
README.
the README. Even something as simple as that would be useful. On the Ortelius side, I feel like we need to have some fairly high-level kind of training and tips that just says this is how to create your first deployment. This is how you define your domain structure and decompose your application and pull together a domain structure to track your decomposed objects. And then there's the lower level technical things that I know people are going to want to know. I posted a blog on how to use Helm with Deploy Hub. And that tends to get a lot of traffic. So people are looking for those kinds of answers. So anything that you find that you realize this was an easy way to do something, I think those are the kinds of blogs that we need. Think of some of the blogs that the Spinnaker community have done and the Jenkins community has done. We need more of that kind of content because that's the easiest way for people to learn and to start embracing the product.
And the videos should be short. If we're going over 5 minutes into the 10-15 minute range, then we may look at splitting the topic into 2.
What I was saying was we can have, for example, 2 to 3 different set of the video recordings. One we could have is, probably if anyone wants to do a webcast, for example, with Steve or Tracy, that could be recorded. So many conversations that could happen.
Sure.
That could be part of your knowledge base.
Yep.
Right. And a short conversations, not big conversations, let's say 15, 20 minutes of conversations or maybe lesser than that.
Oh,
so quick bite-sized videos.
Yeah, I
could
think
be one type.
I think that a whole podcast series that's entitled Conversations with a Big Giant Head and just have Steve talking about answering all the questions that I know that people have asked. It would be a really great, a good like blog, podcast or video series. Somebody has to think through what that, what Conversations with a Big Giant Head would include. But I think that something like that would be a lot of fun and be very useful.
I think we'll have Sasha do one on how to screw up Git really bad and then do it.
That sounds like a great idea, Steve.
Everybody goes down that path. I know it's funny, but everybody ends up in that path where you get your Git repo all out of whack and how to get it straightened out.
Well, there you go, Sasha. You have your first blog. You should just write about your experience with learning Git.
I just like to test Steve,
Yeah, especially one of the things because you're coming from more of a GitLab background, and GitLab versus GitHub are 2 different worlds. So something along those lines could really help out.
That might be something that a lot of people want to read about, not just as it relates to Ortelius. So that could be a really great way to drive traffic back to our website. And Siddharth, on that question, if we really talk about what the original goal was, is that the original goal is to get more people who are core contributors of the product and more users. And one of the leading indicators was how many hits on the website that we would find. And that's what led us to the blogathon. So let me restate the goal. The goal is to drive traffic to the website. So if you have a discussion that you want to have on what you've learned around Kubernetes, I have a whole area that is just contributor content that you can post on anything you want. But in terms of driving more usage around Ortelius and getting new contributors, I think the tips and tricks is useful. But anything you want to blog on is going to be totally fine.
Well, what I want to say was, for example, as an example, Sasha and Sean may get onto conversations or recorded conversations for 15 minutes about the good things about Ortelius, or how should we progress, or what is, what they feel excited about. So that conversations, if people hear it out, it would be good to bring that track.
Yes, absolutely. So I'm going to say any kind of contribution you want to make is totally up to you. The categories we have are basically GitOps and configuration management, contributor content. So that's anything you want to talk about, and tips and tricks for Ortelius in the open source community. And then we have news. So if there's news you want to report, I'm going to start doing a newsletter, a quick little newsletter for each month, and I'll post it in the news. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on it, but I'll give a summary of what happened in the month.
I haven't used this software. Just checking with the people out there. There's GoToMeeting and GoToWebinar. You get a bit of freeware for initial days, so you can record those your videos and probably can download and share that.
Perfect.
Yeah, and we have, well, on the Zoom side, we have Zoom webinar capabilities in the Zoom meeting. So here at Deploy Hub, we use the Zoom webinar when we need to do like a big webinar. So we have access to that.
And we have a fairly ambitious goal. I don't remember what our goals were. Does anybody remember what the goals were for?
200%
a 200%
increase in traffic.
Yes.
I'm missing the last area that you said for your blogs. I have news, tips and tricks, how to contribute, and there's one more.
GitOps and configuration management.
Thank you.
And then, yeah, any contributor blogs is anything you want to talk about. Anything that you're passionate about. Okay, on another topic, just moving on. We have been talking about using some kind of project management, like Kanban boards, so that we can keep track of where we're at on some of these efforts. We've looked at Trello. Siddharth, it's all up to you. He's going to give us a little overview of what he's learned about GitHub Trello boards and how he thinks that we could use it.
Okay, thank you. We are going towards the new ways of working. We're talking about microservices. We are talking about DevOps. We're talking about business agility. And if we truly want to achieve that agility pace within the community, every community is working towards having work more visible, more transparent, more accountable, more flowable from left to right. The current way which we are working is the GitHub issues. Everything has been tracked, raised, worked across GitHub issues. But if we segregate majorly between two things, one is the community piece of things, and one is the technical piece of that community. Technical piece, of course, the GitHub is the best source that we should use because the code is out over there itself. However, when we're talking about these community pieces, and probably what you're seeing on the screen, these working groups, it gets a bit fade away of what is happening, who is doing, can I collaborate, can I work across it. And hence I was proposing, and you may agree to a certain extent, that we should have some visual representations of these cards. Which tool is secondary, but a visual representation of these. And hence I propose, can I have screen sharing? Probably,
yep.
Steve, I guess you're doing that.
Yep, let me stop. There you go. All yours.
Okay, thank you. So what I'm proposing is just one option. It is not the decision that we made. It is just one option. However, if you have better ideas, please share it once I end up doing it. I hope the screen is visible. So what you've done is Trello board, one of the applications of seeing your visual representation of work is out there. We've not made it complex. What we've done is we have only have these 4 columns where the work starts from backlog, and ends up on the done state from left to right of these sections. For example, if you want to segregate, and this whole work has been pulled up from our Ortelius delivery plans. So we have segregated based on the website redesigning, community on wraps, improvement data wraps, and other major things. The good thing is one can see how much work is there in the community space. So that is one good thing. Second thing is for each of the work, we can have the conversations across doing. For example, I've just picked up something from this randomly. So publish to community is one of the works. It is in this state. Who is doing that? You can add members to it. Uh, Definitely you can add the due date. You can add the descriptions to it and the comment section. So comment talks about the regular conversations around these pieces of work. Also, if you want to have a checklist of items or the work piece, you can have these checklists also. You want to add, sorry. Okay. And if you want to have these attachments around this piece of card, you can definitely have it. So you can have from computer, Trello board, Google Drive, Dropbox, OneDrive, and you name it, they have it. The good thing is we can have a visual representations of the flow of work, point one. Point two is I can check across as a community member in which piece of things are there in the backlog, which I can pick up and probably work along. The third thing is that it is easily manageable. It is easily can be sorted across. This card, if it is done from to do to doing, it is easy to move from one flow to the another flow. The other thing is that we can help and manage our work better. Definitely, if you have something in this form and shape and not exactly Trello, so just don't go with the words of Trello. If we have some work managed in this manner, it helps in people raising their hands and trying their things out. Also, there's a lot of ideas that comes across from people, and what you see, for example, what Steve was showing in the WordPad, it gets lost. It gets lost on those conversations. What happened? What was the conversations? Who owned it? Who tracked it? What has been done on those things? Those get lost. However, if we maintain it through GitHub issues, the other problem set is it again, gets mixed up with the technical and the non-technical aspect of the work. Besides this Trello board, we can have other option, which is the GitHub project. I tried doing it, but I guess it was not shown to me as one of the projects. I tried doing that. We can choose the GitHub projects also as maintaining the Kanban board. But the point is, let's have some way. Let's have more better way of doing things rather than getting into the traps of Excel sheets, Word documents. So I'll halt over here and open for questions at the moment and thoughts.
So Siddharth, I think first of all, that's a great idea. I totally agree that we should have like a visual flow of things in backlog to doing. I have used Trello. I am part of a couple of boards, and this is a pattern that I'm noticing. There are too many things to check. Like for example, distro and GitHub, and then Trello to add it, and then this Slack and all that. So I feel it. I was wondering if we can explore the GitHub project board to do the same. From what I'm reading, we can do the same backlog to doing. And I was just wondering if there are any pros and cons to using Trello versus within GitHub itself, because a lot of people will be accessing GitHub already, right? So is there a way to just have this project management piece there as well? So yes, I can create, Ortelius doesn't have a public project, and probably because I'm community manager, I can create one and I'll set up a meeting with you and we can go through it to just see if we can do all these things, because it's ultimately moving cards from one state to another and defining our flow. From what I'm reading, we can do it in GitHub. So if we can, then and that's just my view, I would want to hear the community's view as well. There's just my view that the more we put things within the GitHub repo, I think the less the burden is on contributors to go on various channels to check on status updates. So yeah, that was just my view. For example, we are already using Google Docs for the blog content, right? And so there's Google in the mix, and there is distro in the mix, and then there's GitHub, and then adding Trello. So that was just my view.
Okay. Quickly answer to your questions. Are we very sticky about Trello? No, we are not very sticky about Trello. We can go hard with the GitHub shape and form of Kanban board. I did not had access to it, so I was not able to showcase and demo out here. But
Okay.
we can go with GitHub one. So that is point one clear. I think that was one of the other concerns. Second was we have too many tools. Yes, I am also not in pro of having too many tools. Few tools, but we use them effectively and efficiently should be the target. Any other concerns? I think these were two. I sort of addressed that.
Yeah. So
Okay.
Go ahead, Steve.
just to FYI, so on the GitHub issues, I've been trying to get them all under a single repository. So we'll have a single repository for all the issues, which will be the Ortelius/Ortelius repo. So we'll have all the issues centralized there instead of spread out across all the little repos like the docs repo or the outreach repo. So that's one of the things that I've been doing on the issue side to organize it. Go ahead, Christopher.
Cool. So I've been using Trello for a number of years. I'm a fan of it. I think it's a nice product. It gives you a lot of nice things that you can do visually. Like you see, he's attached the backlog to do, doing, and done, which, the sort of column headings, but, being able to visualize your tickets and, put images in there that make sense for them can be a really fun thing and definitely something I like. But to go more toward the direction that Neetu was talking about, adding another tool, if we can do this in GitHub, I do think is basically a bad idea, because there isn't anything that I know of that would easily duplicate all of the issues between the two. And my biggest concern is, where would people subscribe for updates? If I've submitted an issue on GitHub and then it disappears for 3 months and then it eventually ends up getting marked done, then I'm going to be happy. But not knowing what happened in the interim, I'm going to be like, well, that was mysterious and disturbing. And oh, it was all in Trello and I just wasn't following the right Trello card, but I was following the right GitHub issue. That's going to be confusing to folks, that we don't have those things, automatically in sync. So if we can make GitHub work for us, I haven't tried the Kanban functionality in GitHub, but even if it's less awesome than Trello, I think that makes sense as a good thing to try first, so that we don't have to duplicate the issues.
I'm gonna hijack the screen here. Looks like Neetu just set it up, and
I'm just creating it.
yeah. So she's put in place the same thing that we're just seeing in Trello. So you have the columns.
My son is saying hi.
Hi.
Hello.
What's your son's name?
Arjun.
Nice.
He's a big fan of Kanban, I hear.
Yeah.
So it looks like the same concept is in the hi. Is in the GitHub issues, in the GitHub project. And it looks like there's a section on cards. So we'll be able to add the cards as well. Now, one of the things that we're doing I'm working with Karam on is hooking in some automation to, for example, when you do a pull request and you do your merge, that we go ahead and close the issues that are associated to that pull request. So I think we'll be able to, with the GitHub projects, I think we'll have access to do some automation as well. And that will be something that looks like we'll, through the GitHub actions, we'll be able to expose that. So I would be in favor of, like Neetu is saying, keeping everything on the GitHub side. I think it'll be easier just to manage through automation what's happening.
I'd like to add one thing. Our team used Trello in the past, and it was used primarily for managing the cards for a group of people who needed to see it, but they were non-technical. So it was just an easy way for them to see progress of main ideas, not necessarily details of bugs and things like that. So I agree. I like the idea. If the team is in GitHub, we need to manage these very particular things. I think it makes sense. But if we need to go beyond that with a broader audience, then I think Trello is a good tool for that.
Tracy, do you know what if any of the other Jenkins is using, or if Jenkins is using any kind of Kanban type of?
I don't know that.
Or Spinnaker?
I don't.
Okay.
I saw CDF in Tracy Miranda was using this GitHub Kanban board, but continuing to where Sean left is, if you want to have two technical aspects of it, then yes, GitHub would be the right place. But if you want to have broader audience, techie, non-techie, and contributing to community, they may not be contributing the technical aspect of the Ortelius. For example, the website designing or publishing blogs and all those things, then Trello is the thing to go for. Again, I'm not making any decisions, just sharing across views. We may start using GitHub, for example, the GitHub Kanban board, and see how it works. And anything can be moved to Trello or not to Trello.
I think that sounds like a good path forward.
Yeah.
Start using the GitHub, and we may get to a point where it doesn't make sense to use GitHub for some of the work that we're doing. And I know that we use Trello at the DevOps Institute, and if I've got a blog or something that I'm due, it actually is pretty helpful. But I have a suspicion that we might be able to get that done at least for now, in GitHub. And let's see if we grow into Trello for things that are outside the perimeter of real pull requests. The thing about tracking pull requests is an easy way for us to start tracking involvement in one place, but I know we can do it in two places. Because some people may just be interfacing with Trello, and some people may just be interfacing with GitHub. So Neetu and Siddharth, I don't know if you guys can just maybe put your heads together from a project management and see if we can at least put our first Kanban board together for the blogathon.
Sure.
I created some issues out there for blogs, so maybe we just put those issues in the Kanban board, so we can see that nobody's done those particular blogs.
So I just shared, I'm just looking at the, this is what Neetu just set up, and you can
your screen's not being shared.
Should be. Let me just start and maybe just grab the wrong one. There, can you see it now?
Huh, I can't. It says you have started screen sharing, but it doesn't do anything for me.
Neetu, can you see my screen?
No, I see Steve Taylor has started screen sharing, but I can't see the screen.
That's weird.
That's what I see too.
Stop the share.
And yeah, so that I just booked something with you.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. How about now?
Nope.
That's so weird. Well, anyways, it's not that important to show it.
I can. No, I can't access from my office computer, so I can't share.
So what I was just saying, I was looking at the, let me throw this in the chat so everybody can get to it that way.
Yeah, they
So-
can probably see it in, if you click on the Ortelius GitHub repo and you go on projects, you can see the test. Yeah.
Yeah. So in the test, the interesting thing is we can convert a card to an issue. So like you were saying, you could have a high level, like Sean was saying, we could have a high level card that we may be using to track something. If we need to break that out into smaller cards and create issues, we can do that. Also, when you go and edit the content of a card, it's actually a markdown. So you can create lists and do those things and links just through doing a markdown in the note, which is really nice. So, and everybody seems to be pretty familiar with markdowns. So that's one thing we can, I think, be a good starting point. It looks like it's pretty much the same functionality, being able to do lists and check boxes and things like that, and links to the documentation, because you can do a link to a Google Doc and it'll show up that way as well. So that's just some things I've seen really quick here in what we have going on.
So what I'm going to ask is if Siddharth and Neetu, if by in our next community meeting, which is 2 weeks, maybe we have this board kind of populated and we can talk about how it's going to look and how it's going to work.
And Siddharth, can you drop your GitHub handle in the chat, and I'll add you real quick.
And then I have one more thing, and I know we're over, but I have a, in the last discussion, we talked about making it easier for people to sign up for adoption for new users. And there was some discussion about how we needed to have probably a download. So I think what I'm going to do for now until I get clarification from the Linux Foundation is that we need to create a new container image that has the proper branding for Ortelius. It doesn't have our Deploy Hub logo on there. It needs to be taken off, and the Ortelius brand needs to be on there. And if you go to the Ortelius site, you will download it'll be a download instead of a SaaS sign up. And we'll keep that'll clearly separate between Deploy Hub and Ortelius, which is our ultimate goal. And then we can start working with the TOC to see if they will be willing to host a SaaS version of Ortelius in one of the Linux environments. And maybe Google will give us some space to do so. So right now, I think that's how we need to proceed with that. Unless there's any thoughts on that, or anybody wants to, give me a better idea, but I think it's the best way to move forward.
Not directly on this, but I did see a GitHub issue on which there was some talk about logo redesign or probably adding the logo in the right place.
Yes.
And I think there was some confusion whether that work is still needed or not. So I just tagged you probably.
Okay. Yeah, it will be still needed, but we need to have a follow-up to that says we need a whole image, a container image that people can download from different sites. We need to have that. We probably need to register it with Red Hat. We need to, I'm sure there's places that we need to register the Ortelius container to, so people can get to it other than just our website.
Okay.
Yeah. So to answer your question, Neetu, the logo that we chose back in the summer, one with the alien and the dog and the spaceship, is the one we're going to keep moving forward with, and we're just going to reach out to get that cleaned up to be a SVG, so we can is one of the formats we need it in. So we'll go ahead and get that process started to clean up that image.
And I'll reach out to Sarah Peterson to see if she's made any progress on that.
Yeah. And then on as far as like the download, the logos around when you download the Docker image, and that when you run that one, it has the right Ortelius logo in there. I have to double check I think we just need to do a pull request to pull in the right image on that front. Siddharth, I'm going to add you to the project, so you should be able to
Yeah, I was going to
manage
ask the
things.
same, if I have the right to add him as a community manager, or will you need to do it?
I'm in there right now, so I'll go ahead and do it.
Okay, awesome. Thank you.
Yep, just save you the headache of finding it, because I'm in here all the time.
Okay, yeah.
People, there it is. And Christopher, you should be able to manage the board as well, because you're one of the at the higher level, at the organization level. So
Like it wouldn't let me edit any of the cards, so I was like, this doesn't look like right access to me.
we'll play around with it to make sure.
Yeah, I just created a test board. There's some kind of automation, and maybe there might be permissions that we need. Ideally, I think there should be a board where everybody can add cards, and there should be another board where only certain people can add cards, right?
Yeah. Siddharth, check your email. You should have gotten an invite to the organizational level. And I'll go in and check the permissions on the board that was just created to see what's going on there.
Thank you,
I received
Steve.
it.
Wait, you guys talked on top of each other. What was the question?
Thank you, Steve.
No problem, Christopher.
I repeat the same. Thank you, Steve. I've got the email.
Okay. And I got it. Since I'm new to these boards, I have to look and poke around in security settings. Okay, anything else?
Steve, regarding G-Show, like, what is the last
yes.
day to put in ideas?
Oh,
Yeah, so GSOC real quick. The CDF is going to be applying at the high level. We do have to do some pull requests to update our project on the CDF site. Right now we have 2 people that want to be mentors, Krum and Sasha, and we have I can't think of, I know the wherever Goat123 is on the Discord channel, I can't remember who that is. It wants to be a from the student side.
okay. So we have one, but I think the students have to apply to the GSOC.
Yeah, so we have to go through the formal process of getting the paperwork in place. So if you do know of any other students that are interested floating around, let's get them, reach out to them, and then we'll get them through the process.
Okay. Yeah, so I've been part of GSOC through GHC Grace Hopper, and the way we do is we get, and I don't know, that might be different. We get more applications than we can take because we don't have mentors. So, you know, the mentors the number of mentors we have sort of decide how many mentees we can take. Do we know how many mentors we have?
Right now it'll be 3.
Okay.
Myself, Sasha, and Krum. So based on that, we'll go ahead and from what the CDF was saying, the Jenkins project had 7 last time. I think Spinnaker had 2, and I'm trying to think what the other project they had out there. Maybe Tecton had 2 people. So 2 students. So we'll have to look at that front, like you said, how we can scale it.
Yeah, yeah, and this is just my assumption for the first time, like putting out a new project, that we'll probably be able to get the students if we market it enough. But at the same time, to do justice to the students, we want to make sure that the mentors have time to dedicate them, because it's sort of, I've been a mentor, GSOC mentor, and it involves a little bit of hand holding. And, and yeah, sort
And
of,
they were, Dan Lorick and Tara were saying that it's best to have a 2-to-1, so 2 mentors to 1 student, just to help split the time, because the students are more full-time than the mentors
Yes.
are on
Yes.
it. So my gut feeling is that if we do 1 to 2 students that for our first go, I think that'll be if we go more than 2, I think it will be over our heads.
Okay,
Yeah.
got it. So we need to basically recruit two students, right?
Yes.
Yep. And
And
we
I,
have 1 so far.
and I think
Okay.
the one we have so far is from UNM.
Sorry, from where?
New Mexico?
Yeah.
And I can't, they don't have their, it's the Go 23 Discord handle.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's, I can't remember his name right now, but I'm pretty sure if I saw it, I would go recognize, but I'm pretty sure that's him.
Gold, I think so. No.
So let me see who that is.
And what's the last date for the project idea submission?
What was that again?
Last date for project idea submission.
I think it's like the 28th of this month is when, so we have like next week to get all of our paperwork in order up to the CDF.
And Steve, I'm gonna leave it up to you to come up with some specific tasks for those 2 students.
Yes. So the from the architecture group, meaning the area that we came up with was going to be integrations, like Spinnaker integrations and Argo CD integrations.
That's perfect. And if there's a third, I would say more work on the graphs and make them where we can include more data on it.
Yep.
Okay. So, Stephen, you can give me the details of the project, or maybe we can document those in GitHub issues. And then if you want, I can, create whatever paperwork is needed.
Will do. I'll reach out to you on what I find.
Okay, sounds good. And in the meantime, I'll also work on sort of marketing and tell them that we have 1 or 2 spots available, and we'll see. I guess we can choose. So even if multiple people apply, we can say we have only 2 spots and we just choose 2 spots.
Mm-hmm.
I'll start.
We might be able to do 3. Somebody to do work on the data science side, and then 2 integrations.
Okay. Okay. So I'll put in a word for it. I'm part of some communities like Indian Women in Computing and all, where we have a lot of students who are looking for opportunities, and GSOC is a paid internship sort of thing. So it's pretty coveted.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like I said, we'll get the paperwork sorted out here this week and into early next week, and so you'll see some pull requests coming across, and I'll keep you in the loop, need to.
Okay. And yeah, I don't know if this, I can mentor, but probably not on the technical tasks. So, I can sign up as a mentor and maybe just get them onboarded.
Yes. I think the more mentors we have, the better off we're going to be, even on a non-technical front.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Sounds good.
Okay, everybody.
Sorry, guys, I dropped. Steve, did you get my question? Sorry, I got dropped off. Did you get my question? Which got dropped off?
You broke up a little bit there.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
What is the last date for submission of project ideas?
For an idea, like a project idea would be, we want to get that sorted out by Friday. So I can get all the paperwork, the pull request into the CDF like on Monday.
And like what, do you have any idea like what should be the project that should be like, we should go ahead with?
Yeah, we're going to do a Argo CD integration and a Spinnaker integration are going to be the two project ideas that we have. And then the third one that we'll throw out there is data visualization.
Okay. And like each student will each student will work on a single project, right?
Oh, yeah, we'll have to see how we want to break it down. If we want to have one student work on the Argo CD and another student work on the Spinnaker, or if we want to throw both of them at Argo CD to start with, and then both of them at against Spinnaker. That's going to be more of a project management once we get going.
I have an idea. How about we put 2 students on one project, which is like Argo CD and Helm, and that way maybe we can get more students. Like we can get 4 students.
That's a great idea. I was thinking the same thing, that we should let them collaborate with each other, because that's a learning experience in itself.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's a great idea.
Is there a limit that GSOC?
Or number of mentors.
Sorry, go ahead.
The only challenge is like to have more number of mentors, like the students are going to increase.
To answer your question, need to know, I don't think there is going to be a limit. I think the recommendations are going to be based on, like Karam was saying, the number of mentors.
Okay.
So I think that's going to be driving it, is how well we can mentor them. I think that's going to be our restriction.
Yeah, if we have like 2 mentors per project, then I think we can have 2 students per project, and I think that will be good.
Okay, that works. That's what we'll shoot for. So we need one more mentor, one more technical mentor, and then Neetu can span everybody.
Yeah, I can help with that. And then usually in the past, we have also conducted like mid-project, initial onboarding meeting, and then mid-project meeting, and then at the end of meeting. So I can help with those.
Okay, perfect. Because I'll get sidetracked. All right, anything else?
So like I went through the documentation of GShock, like on the issues that we had. So like it was mentioning that we should have a regular connect, the mentor should have a regular connect with the org admin. So I think so like Steve, like we are, you like, I don't know how, like your plates are going to be completely filled out, like with us as well as the students. So like, right, as you mentioned, like we can add one more mentor, then like you can, like you can like work on the managing the mentors.
Yeah, so it looks like what we would be shooting for is 5 mentors and 4 students across 2 project ideas.
Yeah,
does it make sense?
Yeah.
And like I said, if there's I'll get the project ideas. If there's any other new project ideas other than the 2 integrations that we're thinking about, just let me know, and I will get that all that paperwork started with the CDF. Okay, anything else?
Nitin, like what's the, like on the Jenkins side it was mentioned that around 6 to 8 hours per week like mentor should spend time. So like is that reality, or like we have to spend more time with the
So in my experience, they need initially a little bit, it depends on how mature the mentee is. Sometimes they need like basic help with GitHub and all that. Sometimes they get into project. It might require 6 to 8 depending on, you know, the project and the experience of the mentee. But in my experience, it did not. It requires a lot more it requires less initially, but a lot more in the middle and at the end when they're making a presentation, because they have to, it's sort of like an exam that they have to pass, you know, that did they do the work that they did. And during the presentations and all, they are a little bit more nervous, you know, how do we show our work? How do we present it? How just, it's like showtime, right? How to make sure that everything compiles and works and they can do a demo. That's when they need help.
No. Right, got it. And like, is the stipend sponsored by Google completely, or like, how does it work?
It is sponsored by Google. So the way it happens is like we submit our ideas that we would like to get work done on this. And this is the way we have broken down into project. Like for a 3-month period, for the first month, this is what the student can work. Second month, you know, and third month, this is what we like to get done. And then Google invites mentees who can choose the projects. So if the mentees like that project, they apply for it, and then we can choose if we think that the mentee is a good match. And then Google pays them. It's sort of like a paid internship. So, you know, if they are meeting the criteria that we specified, then Google is fine with their work, and they get paid. And, you know, the recognition.
Okay, thank you very much.
Like,
Does that help? All right, cool. Anything else? Just, we ran a little bit long today, but it was a good conversation. Okay, just FYI, I know the docs are down. I'm messing around with the SSL keys on the cluster. That's part of why it's having problems. I had to put SSL keys in today. So I'm just going to be messing around with the cluster that's hosting the docs. So hopefully I'll get it done today, so we can get those links going back up and running. So that's what's happening on that front. Okay, cool. Well, thank you, everybody, and we'll talk to you soon.
Have a good
All
one.
right. Thanks all.
All right, bye.
Yes, guys.